ein paar interessante Zahlen zu Nils Kattau, der uns jetzt hier beehrt. Er ist seit 14 Jahren im Bereich Conversion-Optimierung unterwegs. Er hat in über 1800 A/B-Tests für 300 Unternehmen immer wieder rausgefunden, ja, wie man schlicht gesagt mehr verkauft. Zwischendurch hat er mal so ganz easy und entspannt eine große Agentur aufgebaut, die hat er jetzt inzwischen wieder verlassen, ist also solo unterwegs und deswegen insbesondere ein sehr interessanter Mensch, streamt seinen Vortrag jetzt hier gleich live hinaus ins Web und hält ihn auch auf Englisch, damit die ganze Welt ihn versteht und ich glaube, es lohnt sich, meine Damen und Herren, hier ist für Sie Nils Kattau.
Danke
sehr. Die Bühne ist groß, es sind viele Leute da, sie gehört dir und ich würde sagen, 20 Minuten ab jetzt. Viel Spaß.
Okay. Dann kurzes Hallo auf Deutsch. Ich hoffe, es ist okay, wenn ich ihn auf Englisch halte, weil ich wurde darum gebeten, dachte mir, ich kann es machen. Und ich würde einfach loslegen, damit wir die Zeit einhalten und ich nicht groß überziehe. Das ist übrigens die größte Bühne, auf der ich jemals stand. Also etwas, aber geht schon. Okay, so English. My name is Nils. I've been optimizing conversions for more than 14 years and for more than 300 clients, as he just said. And I worked for startups, medium-sized corporates, Fortune 500, DAX 30 companies like eBay, Audi, PayPal, Amazon, Audible, and so on. And today I'm gonna tell you some of my most important learnings and tips when it comes to user experience optimization and copywriting for high-converting landing pages. And we'll start with an easy one. So most of you use their header for their logo and their navigation menu, I guess. But one of the first experiments when I optimize websites is adding trust and social proof to your header, because especially for non-famous brands like I guess most of you work in or work for, it's very important to build trust within the first seconds when a new visitor comes to your page. So your perfect place for this is your page header, because it's visible to everyone on every page, or at least on almost every page, and at the same time it doesn't impair the reading fluency of people. So when they read through your content and you add information like, oh, by the way, we have 500 clients in one place, this could be confusing because it would break the reading fluency. And so the header is a great place where you can do this. And if you don't have space for that in your header, I would recommend that you add the space, because it really makes sense. So my clicker doesn't work. Okay, it does work. I'm just too weak to click it. So some inspiration for building trust and social proof in your header. This is now a bit boring. We'll get to a more fancy part in a few seconds. So you can talk about your customer satisfaction, about the number of clients that you have. You can talk about how many people would recommend you to their best friend. You can show off seals and awards if you have any, if they are not that well known. So if it's not the TÜV-Siegel that we have in Germany or something similar, then I would always recommend to add a tooltip when people hover it with their mouse so they understand what it means. And you can, of course, add media logos. So if you have a media visibility on TV or somewhere or in a magazine or something, then you can add these logos next to your own logos, so the trust that people have in those media companies will be transferred to your own company, at least a bit. So that could really make sense. But as I said, this was the boring part. And now the cool data-driven one is, or the cool data-driven part of how to find the best benefits for your header is this 4 steps. So I would recommend you sign up for Hotjar. You don't have to use my affiliate link because I already got their t-shirt, so you can just go to hotjar.com. I forgot to change that. And then you ask your visitors, what is most important when buying something from us? And you should do this as a free text answer, so people can just type anything they want. And you'll usually get a lot of answers. So from my experience, about 1.5% of all visitors will answer. So you really get a lot of answers in a very short time. And you put all of these answers in different buckets. So for example, if this was for a hotel website, you would say we have some answers about pricing, about interior, about location, about free Wi-Fi or whatever. And then you asked another question with Hotjar, by the way, or with any other tool that works for this. And you ask what is most important. And you just allow one single answer. And so people will pick the most favorite thing that they think is important when buying from you. And you usually get a pretty good prioritized list of things that you can say in your header. And this really makes sense to make it data-driven, user-centric, and not just talk about your own gut feelings and what you would think is most important for people, because we did this for a hotel in the past, and they said our most important thing is free Wi-Fi, and this was a lie because the users didn't feel the same. Next tip. This is not for the designers. Oh, just one question just to get you awake. Who is designer or copywriter from you? So who does text, copywriting, design? Okay, not so many. So if you know any who do this, that don't know how to sell stuff online or use their work primarily to create experience that are not that intuitive, or that use their work to express themselves, or express the way of their design, or try new things or something, it's for them. So spoiler in this moment, so you generate the best sales performance with clear statements and familiar interaction concepts. So after all, e-commerce is not art, it's business, and that is something that many designers and many copywriters like to forget all the time. My favorite example, I guess someone of them will be in this audience, and I'm sorry, normally I don't excuse myself or apologize for this, but my favorite example for too much creativity is this former homepage of, I don't know who it is, I removed the logo, but when I ask people what this is about, many people say Lord of the Rings or something, because it's the first impression people get. And especially a headline must not have to be interpreted. So people have to understand what you're talking about, what you're trying to sell. You have to get to the point, what is this page about and how is it good for me or for the user? I hope, oh yeah, this GIF works. It's my favorite GIF, by the way. And your hero shot, so the main image of your offer, should enhance that headline and explain your offer within a second, because images are processed very fast by our brain, but we will talk about hero shots at the end of this talk. To be fair, if someone from this company is here, I guess they get their clients not from their website, but from sales persons that work there, and they changed their website a short while ago. It's still not good, in my opinion, but at least you get an idea of what they offer. So if you're here, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. The same goes for usability. So people don't want to learn how to use your website when they come to your website, or guess the meaning of your organizational blindness wordings, and they certainly don't want to swipe through your menu horizontally when there's no indication that it's even possible. So this doesn't work. They changed their logo, their navigation also, but still it's a great example of how to do it wrong. I know it can be very hard to get that third-person client point of view when you look at your website. And two main things that prevent us from seeing through the customer's eye is organizational blindness, so you know too much about your company, how all the things are called, how everything works, and you have too much experience in using your own website. So who would be better to analyze pages from a newbie perspective than our mothers? So at least someone who doesn't know anything about what you do. So what I like to do is I call my mom in Skype or visit her. She prefers visiting, but I don't always prefer that. I hope she doesn't hear this. And yeah, you wait for her to fix the sound, and then you follow 3 steps to find out how to improve your landing pages. And the first step is, do not tell this person, if it's your mother or someone else, I don't care, about your product or service before, because they are not allowed to know too much about it, because otherwise this wouldn't work. Then step 2, show your website for 5 to 10 seconds, then take it away and ask the 3 most important questions for conversion rate optimization, at least in my opinion. Those are the most important questions, and it's, what is this page about? How is the offer good for you? And what should I do next? And when you ask these things, you usually don't get the answers that you want to hear. So you iterate, you fix your website, and you try to answer these things in a few seconds and ask again, or ask someone else again who doesn't know your website yet. And the best landing pages that I've seen can answer these questions in a few seconds, and they usually convert a lot better than if they couldn't answer these questions. I know it, sorry, wrong note. So how do people consume your content? If people come to your website, they usually follow a typical pattern that is skim, scan, read. I guess some of you might have heard of this already. Just to explain it real quick, skimming is the moment when people come to your website, it's very fast, they scroll down, they scroll up again, and they decide, is it relevant for me, or will I bounce, or will I leave the website? Then comes scanning, it's a closer look, they read a few words, look for passages, for content parts on your website to decide if they find the answers that they are looking for, and then decide, will I read it, or will I leave the page? And the reading, surprise, is intensive reading, so they read the whole page, or at least bigger parts of it. And in the end, all of this should lead to converting. So this is the typical way that one user follows, this way for you, when he looks at a site. And I'll explain you a few things that you can do to make people, to guide people through this part. And the first thing for skimming, so the very fast thing where people just look at some few points on your page, is the first impression. So I guess you all know Tommy Hilfiger, this fashion brand, and when you come to their website, or at least when you see their branding or their advertising, you usually see like 20-year-old persons with nice haircuts and wearing some kind of jeans jackets or something, and then there's a Mustang car, and here's the wheel, and they have their leg here and do this, and then you should know it's about fashion, which is important, which is difficult because you wouldn't necessarily understand it from the images that they use. So imagery is very, very important. The thing is, if you are a brand like Tommy Hilfiger or even Coca-Cola who sell their lifestyle and not really the products that they have, at least in the first moment, then it can work. But if you have a company that is not that well known, you should always try to use images that explain what your offer is about. The same goes for word order. If you look at a headline or something and you are in the skimming process, you usually follow this pattern of reading headlines. So sorry, by the way, for the German words, but you see the first word a lot more than all of that stands in the middle, and again, you see the last word a lot more. So when you skim a website, first and last words are most important for headlines and also for paragraphs and bullet lists and everything. And so I would recommend to put your important words in these positions. So don't use a headline like welcome to, or do you know that, or we offer, or you'll get, or something like this, but put your important words that deliver a message in these positions. Then, then comes scanning. I have to drink something because otherwise I would just cough all the time. Thanks. I'm always scared you hear my swallowing when I do this.
You're fine, you're fine.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay, next thing for scanning is there's a small trick that I like to use. So when you look at a website and you close your eyes a little bit so that your vision gets blurry, you see some things of your website that stand out. Usually it's bold words because there is contrast. The text is bigger than in other pages or thicker than in other places on your site. Headlines usually stand out, and you have this visual hierarchy, so which elements are visible before others. And when you do this, so you close your eyes a bit, you get the blurry vision, these are usually the elements that are important for scanning. So I would always recommend to guide the look or the view of the user using these techniques, so see which elements stand out or pop out of your page and try to put your most important information there. Then comes reading. It's about content, obviously. I can't tell you what the best content is, but in my opinion, you should only use content that that makes the user like, love, or buy your product. And I think everything that doesn't follow this goal, except for blog posts or something, but if you're in e-commerce, I would always recommend to only have messages on your page that make the user want to buy or want to like your product. Then you should always use many value propositions. So put all of your page full of value propositions and follow the inner dialogue. So when people look at your page, usually they talk to themselves and to the website and think what follows next. So it has to follow a good path so users will understand what you're talking about and will not be confused. And the inner dialogue is a very good instrument for this. So ask yourself, when I have this part of content on my page, what should follow next? Many websites don't do that, and I have no idea why. Then converting, it's about call to actions. We'll come to that later. Communication of benefits, we'll come to that later. And handling objections is also pretty important. The typical objection is free, like does it cost anything or does it not cost anything? And if it's free, just say it. And there are, of course, other objections that people will have, but free is the most important one, I guess. The next part, aim for a 1-to-1 attention ratio. So the attention ratio is the things of users the list of things users can do versus things your users should do. So you should have a one-on-one attention ratio. While home pages naturally have a high attention ratio, like 50-to-1, campaign landing pages should aim for 1-to-1. So you should pave one single way for the user that the visitor can go, lead them down your funnel, and give them no opportunity to turn left or right. Because if they turn left or right, you will lose them, or there's a chance you will lose them or their interest. And the reason for this are two major problems. The first thing is, if people come through an ad on your website or through a newsletter or something, they easily get lost and they don't find their way back because they don't use the back button of their browser. They might not see the ad again, or if they see the advertising again, they click it again. It costs something for you, so that's really not something you want. And the other thing is the paradox of choice, so a psychological principle that states that if people have more than one option to decide for, they're anxious to make the wrong decision, and so they would rather not decide at all. So you should always focus your landing pages, newsletters, ads on one single offer. This usually raises the quality of your content, and the higher your attention ratio is, the less people will convert usually. You should start your conversion zone with an amazing headline. So the conversion zone is the area where your user interacts or where he converts. So he could submit a form, click a button, download something, or whatever. And the main headline and the call to action headline are two of the most, or even the most, important components of a high converting landing page. And as explained earlier, your main headline must stand out and make people understand what the page is about and why they need it. And your call to action headline, however, really works good if it's all about what the user should do now and why he should do it. So the first example here, download your free ebook, what should he do now, and become a better marketer, why should he do it? And the what has to be an easy to understand task, while the why addresses a personal goal or need and communicates value. A bad example for this, if you say, schedule a free call to talk to one of our sales staff, the why doesn't transport personal value or something, and so it's a very, very bad thing to say, so people will not really convert that well. If you've done that, you should now give your users a reason to follow your call to action. What I like to use for this is an effective formula that's called benefit and proof, and here, just the first example. You can close more sales, which is the benefit, with our top 3 marketing strategies or something like that. And you should not just talk about what you can do or what you offer or what the features of your offer are, but instead really explain the benefits that your user has while using your offer and make them believe you by adding a proof. In case you're wondering how to implement that, here's an example that I like to use, so just a simple pattern. And yeah, it works really good on desktop, on mobile. And if your why, so why should he do it, is strong enough, you can even use it as the sole call to action, like the copy on your button. And it usually gets really high click rates if people think, yeah, that's exactly what I want. So don't even have to say what users should do on your button, but only the why. Really works sometimes, sometimes not, but you have to test it, of course. Talking about mobile, here's a short excursion. So you need to have a heart for people with fat fingers, or in Germany we like to say Wurstfingerkompatibilität, because German is a very nice language. And on mobile websites, it's sometimes hard to hit the right links or elements with fingers. And so the the browser zooms in, asks you, what did you want to click? And it's a bad user experience. It's the same if you actually click the wrong link and you get to a wrong page, or you activate things in a form, checkboxes or something, that you didn't want to activate, so that's not really something you want. So just 3 super simple things that you can do to prevent this or to avoid this is just add white space between links. Don't put 2 links next to each other without any space. So it should at least be a space, like a Leerzeichen, or it can be like with CSS 10 pixels of margin or something so that you don't get this zoom in effect. Then you can display buttons, or you should display buttons at least as big as your fingernail. So if you push on your phone with your fingernail, usually that, with your finger, the size that you hit with your finger is usually exactly the size of your fingernail. So you should just make interaction elements this big so people don't hit the wrong things. And you shouldn't place sticky links at the bottom right position. So if you have a menu button that's on the bottom right corner of your page, and you scroll down and it stays there, and people use their right hand, the thumb will usually cover the navigation icon, so people won't see it. So you shouldn't place anything there. Some shops do this, and I would always recommend to place it at the top. But back to your landing page copy, when you think about which words to use, it can be very tempting to read some posts on Copyblogger or any other blog pages and follow their advice about words to use and words to avoid. But as far as I can tell, you get the best results when you question what everyone knows. So the way to go for this, now my screen is gone. I'm sorry, my presenter screen is gone. I can just try this. So the thing you should do is you should A/B test which words produce the best results. You can use any software for this. I recommend Google Optimize right now because it's free for a simple and a few tests. And then you should determine the emotional triggers behind those words and align more content with those triggers. My screen is back. I can stop turning.
You're welcome.
And, thanks. And then you should repeat. So you should try to get as much or as great words as possible, and then put these words in the rest of your content. So optimize your whole content by just optimizing a few words.
Sorry, Nils, sorry to interrupt. Time's up, but because you're great and you have a great talk, I give you 3 more minutes.
3? Yeah, that's
3?
enough.
That's all right?
I need 2,
okay.
I guess. Often you will have hundreds or thousands, or not. You will not have hundreds or thousands of conversions coming through that one page you test. So tests will run endlessly, and they take a very long time to show results. So in this case, I recommend using just some PPC platforms like AdWords, Facebook ads, or similar, and then you can easily test which words attract more users. And while it's not 100% valid, it still gets way better results than not testing at all. Last part, use speaking images. So as most of it was about copy, I'm now talking a bit about images or imagery. And the human brain processes images a lot faster than text. And usually, or logically, images play a huge role within the first seconds when users come to your page. And because this is the moment when users decide if your page is relevant for him or for them or not. And if it's not, then they will bounce. So I ask you to just find out if your images suck. And you can do that by just remove your copy, look at your page, and ask yourself what your page is about, because you know the answer anyway. So ask your mom or ask someone else, and ask people that have not seen your page before, and then you will usually see or get answers about your images are not that great. So if the result is the same for the company with this funny name, you might have a huge problem. I hope you can read it. So and that's the last thing. And just, if you like what you heard during this talk, I'll ask you to take one photo of the next slide, because that's my advertising slide. And everyone hates people who advertise through their talk, so I just decided to put all of it in one slide. And I would love you for doing all of that is on there. Especially take a look at my conference website. I asked if I could mention it. It was allowed. And I would be happy to see you there, or I would be happy to get some questions for you that I can answer in my next live stream next week on Facebook. And thanks so much for your time.
Thanks very much, Nils. Vielen, vielen Dank fürs Kommen, das war toll. Hätten wir auch noch 10 Minuten länger machen können, aber wir haben jetzt gleich Google da und die werden sonst nervös irgendwann. Vielen Dank fürs Kommen und noch einen schönen Tag
Danke sehr.
Bei den Online-Marketing-Workshops.